Take a brief moment and close your eyes. Try to reach back and summon your absolute earliest memory. Grab the very first one you can find and hold it there. For most of us, it isn't a continuous movie. It's a single, isolated snapshot. Maybe the smell of melting wax on a birthday cake, the static texture of a pet's fur, or the glare of the sun on a metal slide. It's a fragment hovering without context. Now, look directly past that snapshot to the exact moment before it begins. You will find a total blank. This is the void where the first 2 or 3 years of your life actually went. You lived every single second of those years, breathing, laughing, and processing tens of thousands of hours of waking reality. Yet, if you try to reach back into that void, you find nothing. More than a century ago, Sigmund Freud noticed this universal blind spot and coined the term childhood amnesia. Freud viewed this through a psychological lens, theorizing that infancy is a time of overwhelming, untamed desires. He argued that the human mind builds an active psychological defense against these raw emotions, burying them to allow a civilized adult ego to form. Freud treated these memories as buried secrets, and early medicine went even further, assuming the infant brain was a blank slate with its hardware turned off. We now know that is false. From the moment of birth, your hippocampus is fiercely active. Infants are memory-making machines, constantly wiring together physical neural webs to master crucial survival skills, from recognizing a primary caregiver's face to coordinating the motor skills needed to roll over. This creates a glaring biological paradox. If the hardware was working perfectly and you were successfully building these physical neural webs to survive, where did the evidence of those first 3 years go? To solve the mystery, we have to look at an evolutionary trade-off known as the obstetrical dilemma. Walking upright on 2 legs requires a narrow pelvis, but our defining characteristic as a species is a massive prefrontal cortex. This created a physical conflict. If a human brain fully developed to maturity inside the womb, the head would be far too large to pass through the birth canal safely. Evolution solved this by evicting us from the womb early. Compared to other mammals, humans are born essentially half-baked. This forces our most intense neurological construction to happen while we are exposed to the outside world. This explosive biological growth is called neurogenesis, the frantic creation of millions of new brain cells. For a long time, we assumed this growth simply added volume to the brain, like building an addition onto a house. But research shows that in the hippocampus, this influx of new neurons is highly disruptive. These millions of new cells don't peacefully arrive. They violently compete for resources and space inside the existing network. Imagine your earliest memory is a delicate drawing on a chalkboard. The chalk lines are the neural connections. Neurogenesis doesn't politely draw next to that picture. It grows by furiously throwing millions of new, heavy pieces of chalk directly at the board. The new neurons push their way in, physically crowding out and shattering the fragile synaptic connections of the original infant memory webs. The brain is completely ruthless. It chooses capacity over history. Evolution determined it is more important for a growing human to have a massive, fast-processing brain than it is to preserve the memory of a specific Tuesday you played with a block. Your personal past was physically bulldozed to build the processing power you needed to survive your future. Even if those physical memory webs survived the bulldozing, your adult brain still couldn't read them. Before the age of 3, children lack complex language. Their entire experience is a wordless, chaotic storm of raw sensory data, the intense warmth of the sun or the unadulterated terror of a sudden noise. As you grow, language becomes your primary operating system. It acts as the ultimate filing system, allowing you to instantly structure reality into narratives with a beginning, middle, and end. You give the event a timestamp and a label, filing it away in a logical folder in your mind. This creates a floppy disk incompatibility. Your modern, language-based brain simply cannot read or translate the raw, wordless code of your infant self. The data might still be buried in the drive, but when you click on the file, your operating system just returns an error. There is a final developmental hurdle, the concept of I or me. We take our individuality for granted, but for the first 2 years of your life, that concept doesn't exist. To a newborn, there is no boundary between their own body and the environment around them. To successfully store an autobiographical memory, you must first possess an autobiography. Without a main character to anchor the plot, the infant is a passive sponge absorbing the chaos of the universe. There is no you experiencing the cold, there is just a generalized coldness. Without a protagonist to anchor the experience or the software to process the data, those early years are rendered inaccessible. The beginning of your story is lost to your conscious mind before you even have the tools to record it. Memories are biologically expensive. Every time you recall one, your brain has to physically rebuild that neural web, synthesized from new proteins. If a memory isn't actively recalled, the brain stops the maintenance. It looks at a memory of a trip to the zoo from age 2, realizes it offers no tactical advantage to your current survival, and simply defunds the pathway. This is the difference between explicit memory, the describable scenes we've been talking about, and implicit memory. Implicit memories are the invisible, deeply ingrained emotional reflexes and habits that operate entirely beneath your awareness. Your brain chose to abstract the data of your infancy. It discarded the explicit security footage of specific events, while permanently keeping the alarm bell of implicit instinct. You don't remember the texture of your first solid food, but you deeply know that food satiates hunger. This maintenance cycle repeats every single night while you sleep. Your brain evaluates the neural webs of the day, scaling down or pruning away thousands of unnecessary connections to keep you optimized. It is the same process that cleared your infancy, now working on a daily scale to ensure you don't drown in useless data. Every time an infant is comforted or neglected, the brain wires in a specific biological expectation about safety and attachment. Those forgotten years are perfectly woven into the cellular fabric of who you are today, shaping how you trust, how you react to stress, and how you interact with others. It leaves us with a final thought. Your adult personality is the direct result of an invisible architecture built upon a past you have no way of remembering.